Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. A Central Kentucky judge sentenced a man who admitted to killing a woman, then stuffing her body in a storage unit to more than 4 decades in prison. That was the sentence handed down to Joseph Hicks this morning. Hicks admitted to killing his former girlfriend, Sheena Baxter, in 2020. WIMT's Phil Pendleton has more on the emotional plea Baxter's sister gave in court.
The family of Sheena Baxter filled several rows of the Scott County courtroom, eager to see Joseph Hicks sent to prison.
But this is a beginning in the right direction for all of us.
Hicks admitted to killing his former girlfriend in early 2020, then putting her body in a storage facility. Relatives say that it followed a tumultuous relationship that saw him being controlling and possessive.
He was overbearing, stalking and harassing her constantly. If it didn't happen that day, it would have happened another day. I've came to peace with it because that's just how determined he was on doing this.
Exact details of what he did to cause her death have not been made public, but the prosecutor said it was horrifying.
This one was particularly horrific. He abused her body when it was over. It was things that no family should have to think about or hear about.
The Scott County judge said he did not see any signs of Hicks showing regret, remorse, or sorrow for what he admitted to doing. And he says that when he is eligible for parole, he doesn't think that he should get it. The judge also told Crumley this crime was in no way anyone's fault and that Hicks bears all the responsibility.
I don't think I could have done anything. Just like Judge Maddox said, it's not my fault.
Hicks was sentenced to 45 years, and if the 55-year-old serves all of it, he'll be 100 when released. In Scott County, Phil Pendleton, WIMT Mountain News.
The sentence was 25 years for murder and 20 for robbery. He had also been charged with tampering with evidence and possession of a handgun by a convicted felon.
Still plenty of sunshine around the region as we head through the remainder of tonight into tomorrow as well, but we have some changes on the way as we head into our Tuesday. But first, how about that Monday evening? Buffalo Mountain and Perry County looking pretty nice, upper 80s to right around 90. Plenty of blue sky there at the moment. I-64 at Moorhead, a similar scene. Just a few of those fair weather clouds beginning to diminish as that sun angle moves down as we get slower or closer and closer to sunset. Still a few hours away. Middle and upper 80s for us. How about Irvin checking in at 90? The only 90 we've got in the area right now. And those dew points, while they're not out of control, you still feel the mugginess when you step outside. But all in all, for early July, not too bad. Pinpoint Doppler out there, plenty of clear skies out there, a clean sweep. But that frontal boundary off to the north, that's what we got to keep an eye on. It doesn't look like much right now, but it's heading in our direction as we head into the day tomorrow. So keep that WIMT weather app handy. Plenty of clear skies as we head through tonight as we fall into the 70s and middle and upper 60s. The latest, though, on if any of those storms tomorrow could be on the strong to severe side, coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Evan, thank you. Since 1972, the first test of presidential hopefuls has started with Iowa, a campaign trail that winds through the state fair, rural farmland, and, of course, caucus night. But after 2020's caucus chaos, the Democratic National Committee is considering shaking up the schedule, and 16 states plus Puerto Rico are vying for the honor, with state officials traveling to D.C. to make their pitches before the DNC's Rules and Bylaws Committee. Nevada, currently third on the calendar, is one of the states making a big play to move to the head of the line. Nevada Democratic Party Chair Judith Whitmer argues the state offers battleground and competitiveness and diversity.
We have to make sure that all those voices are represented and all those voices are heard.
A vote by the DNC's Rules and Bylaws Committee is expected at the beginning of August, with a final vote before the full DNC expected in September. Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, and South Carolina have been the 4 states in that window since 2008, and most of those states are expected to remain in the early state status. President Biden hosted an event at the White House today, just weeks after he signed a new gun control bill into law. The legislation was passed in the wake of shootings in Buffalo and Uvalde, but since that time there have been other mass shootings, including one in a Chicago suburb on Independence Day. CBS's Skylar Henry reports from the White House.
Geraldine Talley, Pearl Young, and Mrs. Ruth E. Whitfield, our 86-year-old mother.
Victims of gun violence joined President Biden at the White House, hailing the passage of the nation's first major gun legislation in nearly 30 years.
As we have seen, no community is immune to the fallout. Rather, the fallout is landing in our backyard on a weekly basis.
Congress passed the bill last month in the wake of recent mass shootings in Buffalo and Uvalde.
This new law requires young people under 21 to go enhanced background checks before purchasing a gun.
The father of a 17-year-old killed in the high school shooting in Parkland, Florida in 2018, shouted at President Biden to do more. President Biden is calling for the return of the assault weapons ban of 1994 that he helped pass when he was a senator.
In that 10 years it was law, mass shootings went down. When the law expired in 2004 and those weapons were allowed to be sold again, mass shootings tripled.
Just last week, another mass shooter used a high-powered military-style assault weapon to kill 7 people at a July 4th parade in the Chicago suburb of Highland Park.
We believe strongly in the state of Illinois in protecting our citizens from these kinds of weapons, but if the states around us don't, then what are we to do?
The White House says it's also celebrating the 21 executive actions President Biden has signed to address gun violence, including a ruling on ghost guns, requiring homemade guns contain serial numbers so they can be traced. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
And of course, we had a mass shooting right here at home right before Independence Day here in Floyd County. And overseas, an assassin used a homemade gun to kill former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe last week. The Israeli president's home underwent a thorough cleanup this week in preparation for United States President Joe Biden's first visit to the region. Sources familiar with the plan say the United States and Israel are seeking to lay the groundwork for a security alliance with Arab states that would connect air defense systems to combat Iranian drone and missile attacks in the Middle East.
We decided to put up a sign that welcomes President Joe Biden on his upcoming visit to the Middle East and telling him welcome to our favorite 2 states, reminding him that there are 2 states here, Israel and Palestine, and that the only way to leave the circle of bloodshed we're tapped in is to go back to political negotiations and to move towards the 2-state solution, which is the only solution to end the occupation.
The Israeli deputy foreign minister told the media today that he hoped President Biden will come bearing news, referring to Saudi Arabia. The Palestinians have been dismayed by U.S.-aligned Arab states establishing formal ties with Israel, forged largely over shared fears of Iran. President Biden says he is considering declaring a public health emergency to free up federal resources to promote abortion access, even though the White House has said it doesn't seem like a great option. After last month's Supreme Court ruling to reverse Roe v. Wade, protesters across the nation continue to rally as more states move to ban or restrict abortions. CBS's Bradley Blackburn has the latest from New York.
In downtown St. Louis, abortion rights protesters poured onto a highway, completely shutting down traffic for about 15 minutes.
I am no longer going to sit down and let the government tell me how my body should run.
We need it federally legal so that abortions can be safe.
Advocates for abortion rights took to the streets around the nation this weekend, from D.C. to L.A. and many places in between, like this Reproductive Freedom rally in Iowa.
You can't just, as old white men, make the rules over our bodies. We are going to fight back, and that everybody should care, everybody should know their rights.
On a bike ride near his beach house in Delaware Sunday, President Biden spoke briefly about his efforts on abortion.
My ultimate goal is to reinstate Roe v. Wade as a national law by passing it in the United States Congress, and I'll sign it the moment that happens.
The president said his administration is looking at a number of responses to the Supreme Court's decision, including a public health emergency declaration to free up federal resources. He said he's asking officials whether he has the authority to do that and what the impact would be. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
On Friday, President Biden signed an executive order aimed at protecting abortion rights. The order offers new guidelines for protecting patient privacy, efforts to expand access to medical abortion, and it directs agencies to take steps to ensure emergency medical care for pregnant women and those experiencing pregnancy loss. Reproductive Freedom for All, together with its coalition partners, volunteers, and supporters in the medical community, will turn in signatures to the Michigan Secretary of State to qualify for a ballot measure on the November 8th, 2022 election. In order to qualify, more than 400,000 valid signatures of registered Michigan voters are required. This is the first citizen-initiated constitutional amendment ballot measure that would enshrine abortion access and the right to make all decisions regarding reproductive health, including birth control, miscarriage care, prenatal care, and childbirth, in the state constitution. The first over-the-counter birth control pill could be available soon in the United States. HRA Pharma announced Monday that it submitted an application to the FDA to make its birth control pill called O-Pill available over-the-counter. If the application is approved, it will be the first daily birth control pill available without a prescription in the U.S. The company said in a news release the switch from prescription would help even more women access contraception without unnecessary barriers. Last week, doctors and prescribers told CNN they were seeing an increase in demand for different forms of contraception, including emergency contraception and longer-lasting birth control. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, 3 people were gored and at least 6 hospitalized. Why people continue to participate in the running of the bulls.
Couldn't be me. Well, you got plenty of sunshine in the forecast, but could we also be bringing back the potential for showers and storms as well? The full breakdown is coming up.